In this video, we're going to talk about how to map your products and the GST rates for perfect accounting integration with your Tally Prime or any other accounting software. Once you've integrated your channels, you'll get all product information directly from marketplaces and your other online channels on eVanik. Now, it's important for you to map your products with the correct GST groups so that your accounting entries are perfect and correct. On your eVanik OWS panel in the left sidebar menu, click on Integrations and go to Tally ERP9. As you can see, currently on your Tally ERP9 page, you will have three menus right on top, which is Product, Quick Product Edit, and Unmapped SKU List. Click on Product. Once you click on Product, you'll find all your SKUs for all marketplaces listed here. Click on Export Products. Download the file and save it in a location which you'll remember. Open the Excel file, which is in a CSV format. As you can see, the CSV file has got multiple columns. Now, for mapping your Tally SKUs with eVanik SKUs, we've given a column which is eVanik SKU, which essentially means that in this column, you have to fill in the name of the product or the SKU as you would like it to appear in your Tally software. You can map multiple products of the marketplace to a common Tally SKU. Let's take this example. Now, essentially, you will find the products which are footwear products in this case, and I'm going to be mapping all products which are shoes as a common SKU called shoe. I'm going to filter down all products which are shoes, and in the eVanik SKU column, I'm going to call it shoes. Because for the accounting purpose, you may not require to maintain all of these products independently. Unless, of course, if you want to manage inventory through your eVanik. So I've mapped shoes here. The next thing is, I call it sandal. And I'm going to call all of them as sandals. So what's going to happen here? If there is a sale or a return related to any of the products here, it will get posted under the product name called sandals in Tally. The next step here is to define the GST tax group. As you know, there are 5 GST tax groups in India. For each product, you will need to define a GST tax group. So let's assume that the GST tax group, I want to call it with a common name called footwear. So for all shoes and sandals, I call it footwear. We're going to use this footwear group to define the GST rates on eVanik. There are other options which you can also define here. For example, you can define the HSN codes for each of your products in column H, as I've highlighted. Moving on the sheet, we've got various columns which you can fill in. The first one talks about the length, breadth, height, and weight of a product. Essentially, this is required when you were to do a shipping weight and a shipping zone reconciliation of eVanik, which means essentially on the weight metrics of your product, what is being charged to you by the marketplace and what should be the applicable charges. In marketplaces, you also know that products are sold in combos or bundles. You can define your combos up to 6 levels. Within every combo, you can have up to 6 items having different tax rates and having different pricing. We'll come to this detailed video in our next video session. Now, as you can see, there is a last column which is called cost, which means if you were to find your profit at a product level on eVanik, you have the option of defining your purchase price, COGS, or cost of product, as you may want to call it. In this column AW, you can define the unit of measure. As you know, in the GST, it's now important for defining UOM, which is called unit of measure. By default, the unit type in eVanik is numbers, which is NOS. But if you wish to change this, you can call it pieces or bags, depending on what product you're selling. Save this file in a location that you remember. Back to eVanik panel. Now you need to import the same file so that all these product details get updated. So I'm going to click on import products. By default, the category is all and the warehouse location is the main location, and click on import. Okay. So once this has been done, we will move straight away to setting up our GST tax rates. For doing this, you need to move to OWS setup, click on GST setup and add a tax group. Add a tax group with a name that you will remember easily. In this case, let us assume that this account is of a seller who is in Delhi. So I'm going to click on add tax group and I'm going to say Delhi footwear GST and click on the save button here. Once I open the Delhi footwear GST, which is created as a new tab here, click on this, you will find all the marketplaces, warehouses and channels coming on the drop down menu. Select the relevant warehouses. Let's assume I'm selecting 1, 2 and 3 of these, which means that any sale happening from these warehouses will get applicable in the Delhi footwear GST category. As you can see, the footwear category is now displaying here, which we had earlier defined in the Excel sheet. Click on this. You will notice that you have a price range column, which means that you can leave this as 0 and define the upper limit to the highest possible limit. Let's say I define this at 1 million. The reason is that all products falling within this price range in a selling price perspective will get posted in the same price range GST group. Under the GST tax slab, you can define whichever applicable GST is there. So let's say, assume that a 12% is applicable on the GST tax slab. You define as 12%. In the state group, since we've said this is a Delhi, we define Delhi. What happens in this case is that all products which are sold from these 3 warehouses, which are located in Delhi, to a customer who is also in Delhi, will get into a local transaction and CGST and SGST will get applied. For all other locations of customers which are not in Delhi, IGST will get applied. WEF, which means with effect from. So you can clearly define this tax group is applicable from which date. So let's say I'm going to define this as 1st of July 2017. Click on save. So once I click on the Delhi footwear tax group, you can see the Delhi footwear GST has been classified. Now let's say the footwear depends on the selling price. And I'm assuming that all shoes and sandals which are sold up to 1,000 rupees will have a 5% GST slab. And any footwear which is sold above that will have a 12% GST slab. For doing this, you can define your price range. So anything above 1,000 is 0 to 1,000 comes under 12, comes under 5%. Add another row item by clicking this edit button. Select the same 3 warehouses which you had selected earlier. Click on footwear and now define 1001 to, let's say, a million. And take this to 12%. Again, define Delhi. Date is 1st of July 2017. And click on save. How your Delhi footwear GST group looks like. In this case, the same footwear category has been defined under 2 GST tax slab groups, which means all products which are sold below 1,000 rupees will have a 5% default GST. For all products which are above 1,000 rupees will have 12%. I'm going to map this to Delhi. Yeah. And this is exactly how your products will get synced into Tally for all your sales and returns vouchers. That's it. Thank you.